Ciao and welcome back to our course of Italian for beginners. This is a course for people who have never studied Italian before or who have just started. It is also useful for people with more experience with the language and who maybe want to revise certain things or certain rules or other things. Thank you very much for subscribing, for liking, sharing, commenting, and for suggesting topics as well. As I said before, I'm very glad to cover any topic that you are interested in knowing more of. Obviously, this course, which is in the playlist under the name Italian for Beginners, will follow a certain order because we started from lesson 1, from very, very basic, and then we'll continue from there, adding to that in a way that makes sense. So adding gradually in order for you to learn slowly in a way that makes sense and is not too overwhelming. Let me remind you that separately from this playlist, I also have other videos which are a mixture of topics of different levels, normally more intermediate or advanced. However, there are also videos that are useful for beginners. So you can also make suggestions and requests on one of those videos if you find it interesting and you want to know a little bit more about. As I said, obviously do comment and ask me when or if I'm going to cover certain things on this playlist. It will be done, certain things will be done a little bit later. And others, like now, it makes sense to add at a certain stage. So today we are going to continue, let's say, in a way with the numbers or seeing how to use the numbers in a certain or a specific context, in a specific settings. In particular, today we are going to see how do we ask the time. Obviously, in general, nobody needs to ask the time to anyone because we have phones and watches and everything where we know what time it is. However, you never know because you don't necessarily need to ask what time it is, but you may need to ask at what time a certain event takes place or a certain place opens or closes, at what time you need to be at a certain place. So let's see how we're going to do that. Before this lesson, if you haven't done that already, make sure you listen to the previous lesson, which was lesson 10, Lezione 10, on the numbers. So we covered the numbers basically up to 100 and then 1,000. Today, talking about the time, we are going to look at, in particular, the numbers from 1 to 11. I'm going to use the 12 hours, which is what normally we use, especially in the spoken language, and only in more official context, and with official, I mean an airport, a station, then you would see more the 24 hours. When it is important not to get confused. But normally in the spoken language, we use the 12 hours. So let me share the documents that I have prepared for today. So here it is. Oh, I stopped sharing. I've clicked on the wrong. There it is. And there it is again. Right. So first of all, how do we ask what time it is? And we can ask in two different ways. One is che ora è? The other one, che ore sono? There is absolutely no difference between these two questions. It really is like saying, what's the time and what time is it? Or do you have the time? There are different ways to ask the same question. So absolutely no difference at all. You can choose whichever you prefer. From a more grammar point of view, the first one is singular and the second is plural. In particular, you're not talking about time, you're talking about hour. So literally you're asking what hour is it or what hours are they? So we are talking about hours, not time. So when we are telling the time, we're actually counting the hours. So it will be singular if we are talking about, for example, 1 o'clock, also midday, midnight, and it will be plural when we are talking about the other hours, like 2, 3, 4, etc., up to 11. As I said, we are talking about using a 12-hour clock. So this is the question. As I said, I repeated, che ora è? Che ore sono? The answer, let's start from when we have like a simple time. We can say è l'una. It is 1 o'clock. We can say è mezzogiorno, è mezzanotte. Or we can say sono le 2, sono le 3, sono le 4, etc. So can you see here, as I said, it's singular when we're talking about like 1, it is 1 o'clock. When it is midday or midnight, or plural, can you see the verb here? We're using the verb to be, essere, like in English. So here is plural when we're talking about 2, 3, 4, etc. So here there is no other way to say the time, really. So this literally you're saying it is the one. So è l'una. It is 1 o'clock. Because the hours are feminine, una is feminine, è l'una. And here we have midday and midnight. Singular again, è mezzogiorno, literally half day, or è mezzanotte, it is half night. All the other hours from 2 to 11 sono le 2. Literally, they are the 2, the 3, etc. In proper English, it is 2 o'clock, it is 3 o'clock. So you do need to say all these words that you have here. It is not too complicated. I think especially at the beginning, it's better to just, again, learn it by heart. That's how you say it. That's how it is said. That's how I am going to say it. È l'una. Repeat it. Get used to the sound, to the words that you have. And as I said, there is no other way. Or maybe there are some other creative ways. But this is the easiest, more direct and straightforward way to say it. So I would recommend, when we're talking about the time, I'll repeat it later, to learn these things by heart. So yes, singular for 1 o'clock and for midday, midnight, and plural for the others. So this one we're talking about, as I said, when it's 1 o'clock or something else, o'clock. Let's see what happens when we have the other time. So the other side, the two sides of the clock past the hour or to the hour. One difference with from English, between Italian and English, is that in English you say the minutes and then the hour. In Italian we say the hour and then the minutes. So we'll start from the left side of the clock when it's 2 the hour. I've picked 2 o'clock. So when it's 10 minutes to 2, like 1:50, we'll say sono le 2, which is what we saw earlier. It is 2, and then meno 10. So 10 is 10, so 10 minutes to 2. Literally, you're saying it is 2 minus 10. So 2 hours minus 10 minutes, which kind of makes sense. On the other side of the clock, past the hour, sono le 2:10. Literally, it is 2 and 10. So 10 minutes past 2 o'clock. So minus on one side of the clock and on the other side of the clock. First the hour, and then the minutes. When we have half past, sono le 2:30. It is 2.5. I put the choice between mezzo and mezza because some people say mezzo, some mezza. There is a theory behind both of them. It doesn't matter. You choose which one you prefer the most, or you just copy whatever other people are saying. So, sono le 2:30. It is 2.5. And then we have the quarters. So following exactly the same principle of minus and, we have sono le 2 meno 1/4. It is 2 minus a quarter. Or sono le 2:15. It is 2 and a quarter. So 1/4, again, is the same when it's a quarter to or quarter past, is 1/4, a quarter. So as I said, again, really, this is just a matter of learning by heart. Later on, we'll see a bit of grammar behind it. When you're just telling the time like that, there isn't much grammar apart from the one that I've just told you. So you can associate, okay, this is the verb to be, and this is exactly what I'm saying, so that if the time is different than 10 to 2, you know what to replace in the sentence. For example, if it is 20 past 4, then it will be sono le 4:20. If it's 22 4, sono le 4:20. So as I said, here we've got an example for each. And so you just need to change the numbers. You keep all the other bits that you have here. All the le and the meno and the un and the e. You just have to remember, as I said, singular for 1 o'clock, midday, midnight, and plural for all the other hours. Now let's see, as I said, this is when you're asking the time, telling the time. Let's see how we can also ask some questions about the time. So about when we want to ask when something is happening. As I said, you may have to ask at what time a restaurant opens, a train leaves, if you cannot see the timetable, or any event happening. So when we are asking at what time, exactly, we are saying at what hour. followed by whichever action, activity you need to ask about. So, a che ora means at what time. The specific example I've chosen here, a che ora parti? At what time do you leave? So in this order in the sentence, if you want to ask at what time a restaurant opens, a che ora apre il ristorante, for example. So a che ora first, and then the rest of the question. In this sentence, we are answering obviously the question. We have parto a mezzogiorno, o parto all'una, o parto alle 3. So parto is I leave, I depart, and we have the different options. So we have a, which is what we have in the question, at. And here, well, let's see how we're going to use this word before the time. Again, you can separate them in three. As I said, 1 o'clock, midday, midnight, and then all the other times, the other hours. So if you want to say at midday or midnight, which are always the same, you just say a mezzogiorno or a mezzanotte. If you're to say at 1 o'clock, all'una. If you want to say at 2, 3, 4, etc., alle 3. Can you see? Generally, don't worry too much about the grammar now. We'll do it later when I'll cover all these strange looking things that we have here in front of the numbers. So we'll do it later separately. But can you see you have a, which is what you have in the question, at. And then look, when you're saying it is one, see we have this L apostrophe. And when we say 2, 3, etc., we have le. So what we have here, again, don't worry too much about the details, is basically a, at, plus what we have in front of una, luna, a luna, and then again a plus le, alle. So just see it like this so you know where this strange looking word is coming from, but don't worry about the actual grammar now, worry later. So I repeat question and answer. A che ora parti? Parto a mezzogiorno. Parto all'una. Parto alle 3. Let's see another example, a little bit more complicated. Again, with these strange looking little words in front of numbers. And again, we will have a general look, but don't worry too much about the more in-depth grammar. So same principle. The question is, a che ora lavori? At what time do you work? And here are 3 different options. Again, I'm covering a little bit different, well, I'm trying to cover all of them. Lavoro da mezzogiorno all'una. So lavoro da mezzogiorno all'una means I work from midday to 1. Another option, lavoro dall'1 alle 2. I work from 1 to 2. Or lavoro da, oh, I forgot I forgot the time here. Lavoro dalle 2 alle 3. I work from 2 to 3. So here, as I said, the principle we have with da, which means from, is the same that we've just seen. Da before mezzogiorno and mezzanotte. Instead, we have dall'una before 1 o'clock, from 1. And then we have dalle before all the other hours, from 2 to 11. So here, da, as I said, means from. Here we are using again this all'una, alle due, alle tre, which is what we used here. The word a can mean at, as we've seen here. It can also mean to. So here you're using it with the meaning of at a certain time. Here you're using it from and then to a certain time. There is no, I know you ask, it's the same words with two different meanings. There are many, many examples in all languages and English included, where you have one word with different meanings. You only notice it when you're studying a new language, saying, oh no, it's difficult enough to remember one meaning. How am I going to forget? How am I going to remember different meanings for the same word? But from the context, and then just when it's just the beginning, the shock that you have at the beginning, but then you forget about it and it just becomes natural. So that means from. A can mean at in certain context, in other contexts can mean to. And I don't think we have anything else to add to this. I hope this is clear. I'm going to stop it here. And if you don't find this clear enough, or if you want more examples, please do ask questions or leave comments, and I'll give you, I'll add something to this video. I'll give you more examples or more explanations. As I said, I'm trying to avoid the grammar here, and instead I would suggest to study all these sentences by heart. These sentences meaning these formulas when you need to ask the time, ask at what time something happens. And when you are saying the time, just learn it as it is. As I said, it's correct. It doesn't need anything more, nothing less either. So learn it, and then hopefully the little bit of grammar that I've given you gives you an idea of what you are saying, because I think it's always better to know what you're saying, not just study by heart without having any idea. When you know what you're saying, you also know what you can change in a sentence accordingly. So as I said, the grammar about all those strange looking words will come separately for other topics or other context as well. So I hope you found this useful, and please keep subscribing when you watch a video, liking the videos, sharing, and leave a comment if you want to let me know how you enjoyed it, or if you have any questions, suggestions, requests. And thank you again for those comments. So this was lesson, I believe, 11, lezione 11. And I will see you next time with lesson 12, lezione 12. Alla prossima. Ciao.